Hello everyone, welcome back. Another episode of Bitcoin Trade here. And let's see what's going on. And I got nothing to talk about as far as news-wise or anything. Um, I guess in this episode I'll talk a little bit about some things that have happened since I guess trade talk, chatter in some ways. I've noticed a couple things here, trading peer-to-peer anyway, is that um, it seems to be getting harder or more difficult, or another way, acquiring bitcoins, um, both both mining in some sense, and also just on a peer-to-peer level of purchasing or getting bitcoins and stuff like that. And so I had some interesting things happen um, where I think um, getting bitcoins as both as far as peer-to-peer and from any other source from a mining pool or a miner is getting harder. I think the price decline, especially the most recent here, and also the difficulty of uh, mining Bitcoin has contributed to that. Um, I guess this trend I'm starting to see, or I don't you don't see this trend, but I'm just finding that it's seems to be difficult or harder to acquire bitcoins. Um, and some other issues, maybe also your banking relationship has ended. Um, I mean, there's so many things that are restricting the flow of bitcoins right now that well, I wouldn't say for everyone, but I have noticed the restrictions have become tighter and tighter, and acquiring Bitcoin has become tougher and tougher. And so there is that. But in any case, with all those things happening, it's kind of interesting that the price has kind of been declining here. And I'll get to that a little bit later. But I have noticed higher demand for Bitcoins. And so there's some things that you can't just look at a chart analysis. You have to be involved in trading to kind of have a better feel for it. Because there is a higher demand, peer-to-peer level or open market or street level price for Bitcoin has, in my opinion, has gone up. But yet, if you look at the chart here, you'll see the exchange prices have come down. And there's a little blip here, a recent upward push, and that may be an indication of kind of reflective of street value price of Bitcoin and then the market versus the market price of Bitcoin. So as these prices were going down and down, a couple things are happening. Obviously, maybe people have bought in at these levels, and then price went down, and on a peer-to-peer level, they're trading at a loss here, and they're trying to cover their costs by raising prices. Well, that could be another option. Um, Another thing is it just could be a higher demand, or or there's not, the flow of Bitcoin is slowly being restrictive. Is another could be another thing. And so what I'm noticing here is that um, the street level pricing has really gone up quite a bit, and now I see the price has gone up, and I think there's some relation here, one or the other. And so um, there there really is something going on between the two. Now the question is, what drives the price? Does the street level price of Bitcoin drive the exchange price, or does the exchange price drive the street level price. So the interesting about Bitcoin is it has many many markets. It just does not have this exchange price market, and even of course, even with these exchange prices, you see the different pricing here on different exchanges. And then on top of that, you have street prices, and even each market in the street has different pricing based on supply and demand. And so a lot of things are happening where I think that there's some correlation between these two. Now, like I said, I'm not sure what drives what. Does the street level pricing drive the market, the exchange market, or does the exchange drive the street level price? I don't know. But right now, what I'm seeing is basically an increased price at the street level, which then equates to a price, at least right here in this short-term period, on the exchange. So what about these prices down here that have come down? Well, I'm not sure what they are about, but I think there's some things aren't correlating, like the downward pressure in price here. Obviously, these prices, as they go down, the pricing on a peer-to-peer level seems to go down as well. I have to agree, that's there is some correlation there. But what I've noticed recently is that the pricing on a peer-to-peer level, the premium has greatly increased. And again, it could be for several reasons, but there's some divergence going on where the premium in the pricing at street level versus the exchange rates are starting to diverge here. And so there's something going on. I can't put my finger on it. I can't specifically say, but there's something definitely going on where it's increasing. The supply on a peer-to-peer level has increased. The demand has increased. But why doesn't that reflect in the exchange price? Or is it? I'm looking at this small little increase in price here, and as far as I know, when I look at different exchanges and also look at the, for example, local Bitcoin exchange, and if you go there, you'll see if you look at overall, you'll see there's a higher premium versus the current market price. And when I see a divergence in that, you got to say to yourself, there's something going on. There's something happening here, at least in my opinion, because the last time I've seen anything like that was, well, when the price really started increasing. Basically almost a year and a half when I started. The premium that you had to pay to get a Bitcoin was way higher than the market price. And I've kind of mentioned in my previous videos why that was, because trying to send your money to these exchanges was very time consuming, sometimes difficult, and so the cost of doing that was to correlation to the peer-to-peer market was the reason why. But I'm starting to see that increase again, and I'm starting to think that there could be, and this is just a theory, I mean, I'm not 100% sure if this is really what's going on, but there could be a surge in demand which causes the drive in price. And there's a couple things, like there's recent decline in price, as well as the difficulty in mining Bitcoins has also contributed to the fact that maybe miners out there don't want to sell their Bitcoins now. I mean, I guess it's just financially hitting them, where if they keep at this pace, they're not going to be around, or they're going to be losing money. And you can't run a mining operation that way for very long. And so a couple things happening. So you're seeing the supply shrink, demand increase. So if you're trading on a peer-to-peer, you would have probably already noticed something like that. And so that could be a foretelling sign or an early indicator of some possible price action movement on the exchanges. Possible. Okay. So that's just chatter talk. That's just me talking out loud here from my experience of trading. Don't know if that really will equate to anything. Only time will tell. By the time you all see this video, it'll probably be too late for you to take any action. So anyways, unless you're subscribing to my videos and as soon as I load them up, you're watching them, because I load these videos up and I get like 3 or 4 people who watch them that day I load them up, that I publish this out. And so sometimes it takes me a day to publish it too. So these people are they're right on it. So take it for what it's worth. Anyways, let's take a look at the chart now and figure out what is going on here. And so if you see my previous chart, talked about this looming trend line here. Let's see if I can get it down here. Let's go into the weekly. The weekly show. Well, I'll zoom in. There we go. So the trend that I've been seeing is based off of this high right here that's basically touched the I think 20 or 25 period average, I'm not sure, but it's pretty much going like this. So, and then I did talk about the other trend, which is this larger trend here. So this trend here, from this high point to high point, it's definitely broken out of that. There's no question about it. But there seems to be a main a trend here that seems to be very consistent in what it's doing here, because you'll see it right here. You see that trend right here as being a resistance, and then a little bit the main body portions of it here, as these have obviously spiked up. So there's another trend that I think a lot of people are trading off of right here. So you mainly see it right here. You see that trend right here, and obviously you couldn't tell until you saw this, and maybe this might have been a trend, but seeing how this is reacting to that, you have to have some, I guess you have to just take it as a new trend line now for that. So let's take that out. Let's go back to here. And so now this is kind of being the new trend here, resistance line, I guess, the downward trend line here. And so that's what's happening right now, I'm assuming, because that's kind of what did happen. And so you're seeing the price hit up against that, and now it's going down. You're seeing on a weekly the momentum has hit, peaked out, and it looks like it's starting to go a little bit lower, as you see on this MACD here. Let's see what it looks like on the RSI. Since I always have this out, I just might as well just put it in there, and it's yeah, pretty much peaked out here and it's gone down, or it looks like it's going down. Now the question is, and this is so hard sometimes, especially when you're up against this trend line so close, is it going to break out of this trend, or is it going to go back down? And when you're in this range on the RSI, if it just goes down just a little bit, it basically pushes down harder and it makes it lower low. Of course, you won't know that until it actually happens. So it's kind of hard to say. Um, this longer trend line could still be, this downward trend could still be intact. It's possible here. If it goes down much further, then that's pretty much confirmation. But by then, it's kind of too late to realize that, especially if you're trying to go long, thinking that it's going to break. Obviously, it's not going to break because it's pulled back here. It may be a while before it does break out. But like I said, there's some things that are going on a peer-to-peer level that I've been trading that indicates to me that demand is starting to increase because people are starting to pay more for a premium for these bitcoins, and it seems to me that acquiring bitcoins have been more difficult in doing so. And so a lot of things are, I think there's a precursor to everything what's happening before it actually happens when you see it on the exchange, if that makes sense, when you see it on one of these charts here. So let me go to the 12-hour now, and as you see, that line is put there. And so on a quick look at the 12-hour, you'll see something here, and then we could take the high of here, and when I'm going back to lines again here, and you can kind of get an idea of what's happening. So broke down, hit up, and I'm just using these 2 points, so that's why this makes sense. And then it's broke down again, and what I'm really worried about is, let me back out here a little bit. Okay, so what I'm really worried about is when I'm seeing this, that it's broken down, made a low, made a higher low, or this high is a higher lower high, and then this low is a lower low. And then if this is the lower high, then we're probably going to expect to see a if this is a lower high, we're probably going to expect to see a lower low as well. So that's kind of what the pattern I'm seeing here. So if it breaks higher, and it breaks higher than this, and comes close, like right maybe, well, if it comes and hits this, it's really still a lower low than this here. It has to break above it and be higher than these two to really push up now. So there's some danger here I see. The good news is that if it is a lower low, or this is a lower high, the good news is you can take advantage of that after it's happened, because the price will be lower, and then you'll be able to get your bitcoins at a lower price if you already have money on the exchange. So for people out there who already have money on the exchange, this could be a great opportunity for you. And this is kind of where I'm going to come in with people who are trading on the exchanges, because the great thing about Bitcoin is that you don't have to keep your Bitcoins on the exchange. You can actually take them. You can take them out of the exchange and trade them peer-to-peer, because there is such a high demand out there, peer-to-peer level, that it's probably going to eventually drive the price up on the exchange. And so as Bitcoins are being taken out of the exchange, I'm assuming that's going to cause scarcity, which drives the price up eventually, because there won't be that many Bitcoins for example, when you make when you make a market order to buy Bitcoins, there are not going to be as many of these guys up here, right, with their limit orders to sell because they've taken their bitcoins out of the market. They've taken their bitcoins out of the exchange. So hitting when you do a market order, it should just easily just push up. And to some degree, I am seeing that. Um, there could be a lot of things going on. The same reason why it was so easy to probably drive some of these prices down is that a lot of people have not been able to have money on the exchanges, so they're not putting a limit order, their buy limit orders here as much as they could. Maybe not, but there's definitely a lot of bitcoins on the exchanges to drive the prices down. Now I think in the future there could be the inverse effect where you're not going to have enough bitcoins out there to have a market stop to drive the price down, but to push the price up. So eventually it's probably got to swing the other way. If you're a miner and you're loading up to the exchanges and you're driving the price down, it still doesn't help you. You know, I mean, you're still not being helped. And not only that, but the money's kind of no good on the exchange because it's virtual. It doesn't do anything. So there's a lot of things going on here which I think are driving the price down, and also building up that pent-up demand. I think it's a hidden pent-up demand because, again, when you do peer-to-peer, it doesn't show up on any chart analysis. It doesn't show up on any exchanges or anything like that. You just have to be in the trade, trading, to notice these things. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. There's just a lot of strange things that are going on, in my opinion, on how Bitcoin's being traded. That something's got to give. It's either going to crash rapidly, or it's going to spike up like crazy. It's one or the other. And if you're all pretty savvy about this, you would position yourself in a way that you could take advantage of both. Okay, and so that's one of the things I'm trying to do. If it goes down further in price, I'm positioned in a way that I'm ready to buy these bitcoins. I'm also positioned in a way where when the price spikes up like crazy, I'm gonna make some crazy gains. And so either way, it works for me because if you're gonna do this, I don't know how many people are out there that are doing this like 100% of the time, full time, making their living trading bitcoins. I think a lot of people are more or less not very active traders. They trade, they invest, but they basically also have jobs, and their job is their main income. This is their hobby, more or less. This is kind of like a little side thing. And so how much time do they spend doing what I do? Probably 1/10 of the effort and time of doing what I do to know these things or to notice the difference. And so but you know, I do this all the time. This is how I make my living, believe it or not. And so I kind of feel like I have a better feel of the pulse of both the exchange market and the peer-to-peer market. Not too much in the mining market, but I do have some idea because of how easy or how hard it is to acquire bitcoins. And you know, that's just, you know, one of the ways that you can get a better idea of what could be happening here, because I do somewhat interact with miners. I do interact with other traders. I do interact with other people who are really who are also involved in this whole Bitcoin trade, and they have their own thing that they bring to the table as far as getting an idea of what's going on in the market. And so overall, you really get a good sense of what's happening. And I have to say, there's just so many things that are happening here that some of this price action doesn't really make sense to me. On a technical analysis, on a chart level, it makes sense. And when I trade on charts, that it makes sense to me. But knowing what I know outside of these exchanges and outside of this chart, there's something that doesn't make sense. And so when I put those two together, you see there's obviously some kind of divergence going on that just doesn't work, or it's not. It just seems kind of strange. And so I think in the next few months, next few weeks, sometime in the future, I think there's going to be something that's going to be happening. And I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's going to be driving the price up or driving the price down. But I think there's something that is being pent up, either pent up demand or pent up supply, one or the other, that's going to cause some price movement. Of course, what I'm saying is always going to be true, but I'm just saying is I think there's, if anybody's watching my videos, you should probably be prepared to position yourself in the right way. So in my previous video, I talked about how not only predicting the market, but if you're really trading in a way that is to your advantage, you should also be able to take action after what happens in the market. So hopefully with that suggestion, you can have a better trade. And so if it goes down further, if anybody has the ability to get Bitcoins or have money on the exchange, you're really well positioned to get a lot of Bitcoins for a very low price. And if you trade peer-to-peer, that's really great, because if you're able to get those Bitcoins, you can really make a premium on a peer-to-peer level, because I'm noticing that peer-to-peer level demand has been increasing over the few weeks, and so that's good for you. If you're already holding on to a lot of Bitcoins, a couple things you can do. You can just hold on to them if you're really a long term. If you're not a long term, then it makes no sense for you to hold on to them. You should be selling those Bitcoins to the open market, because you're probably going to get a really pretty premium price for it. I mean, I haven't seen these premiums. I haven't seen these kind of premiums since, I would say, since I started trading Bitcoin. When I started noticing the price the price has already started to increase. And so that's for short-term traders. Long-term traders, if you have Bitcoins, I would just hold on to them, and if you can get into a lower price on these Bitcoins to buy in, do that, or perform arbitrage with the existing Bitcoins that you have. You can't perform arbitrage unless you have Bitcoin or are able to quickly acquire Bitcoin. So the issue with not being able to acquire Bitcoins, so basically means for those people who don't have Bitcoins and you want to do arbitrage, well, you may not be able to, because you're not going to be able to acquire Bitcoins to do so. And so the people who are going to do arbitrage are the people who already have Bitcoins. So there's that. And then finally, that's on a down scenario. On an up scenario, okay, it's kind of simple. For people who just have money and they're trying to acquire Bitcoins, or if you can get Bitcoins, or if you have money on the exchanges, it's a different strategy of uh, buying on the dips. And so the strategy would be to buy on the dip, because on an uptrend, the dips is when you want to buy, because that's when they're going to be at a good value before they go up again. Um, for people who already have Bitcoins, man, you don't even have to do anything. There's so many things you can do. You can you could just sit on them. You could, if you're able to acquire Bitcoins or have money on the exchange to acquire Bitcoins, you could use those Bitcoin to perform arbitrage and buy on dips. And so the people who are going to have the most options are the ones that actually have Bitcoins and are able to acquire Bitcoins either from somebody relatively fast at a good price, or have money on the exchange. So if you have Bitcoins and you have access to get Bitcoins or money on exchange to buy Bitcoins, those people are the best positioned to make the most amount of money, whether the market goes up or down. And so that's what I would recommend most people try to be in that kind of position. Where you buy, where you sell, I don't know. I'm not, I don't know your particular situation, but I know the best position to be in is to have Bitcoins and to have money to acquire Bitcoins, and able to actually get Bitcoins, because I think it's going to be harder to get Bitcoins, in my opinion. So anyways, not too much of a chart analysis. I mean, it's been going down since you hit this resistance, and I think this is kind of sharp. If there is going to be a push up, because it's been hitting here quite a bit, but it could easily just go down further. So watch for this. I mean, as far as I know, what it's been doing, it's been going down, sideways, going down, sideways. And if it just keeps repeating this pattern, logic will tell you that basically it's going to go down again. And if that happens, like I said, be prepared to buy on the dips. If it pushes up higher and above this, what it's going to be probably going to do, it's going to hit up against this, which is about 280. If it pulls back, buy on that dip, because it's probably worth taking that chance buying on that dip, because if it does push up again, it'll definitely break through. And if it breaks through, look for 300 being the target, and then breaking through that. And so those are some scenarios that you could look for. Otherwise, it's just more down, sideways, and maybe down. How far it goes, I don't know. I've been doing some of my own analysis here, and 320-ish. I'm not 320-ish. 220 is a target for a low, for the next lower low. So there's that kind of price target. Other than that, I think it's already hit the price target from this low already. I've been anticipating about 252, so it's at 253, so it's already hit its range. Now it has to do one or two things: go down to what I expect the range to be about 220, or go up and hit this. Let me see if I can focus in on here. 280. So that's kind of my analysis here. Take it for what it's worth. Will it happen? I don't know. But if you were smart, you would be in a position where if it did go up, you made money. If it did go down, you also, you didn't make money per se, but you gained in Bitcoins. So when the market goes down, you're trying to gain Bitcoins. If the market goes up, you're trying to make money. So anyways, feel free to like, dislike, please leave a comment. Also do video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.